Hello, everybody, and we're back again like a bad penny. And if you saw the thumbnail, try to figure out which one is myself and which one is Mark. Yeah. You didn't look at it yet?
I looked at it, but of course I didn't really think about it. And then I thought, oh, yeah.
And I didn't realize that there's a watermark on anyway. But there's a bit of a watermark, but you can't really see it. There was one person. Now they've left. They saw me and ran away.
Oh dear.
But yeah. So easy week at school.
Yeah, actually, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's a great place to work. I mean, sometimes it does take a lot of energy, with the small kids. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 23 anymore. So it's can be a bit tiring. But it was all right.
I'm yawning, but it's not from tiredness. It's to try to get a deep breath in occasionally. So I do apologize if I'm yawning. That's the reason why.
It's all right. I'm used to it. Don't worry. I teach teenagers as well. They're always yawning.
Talking to you. I was talking to the viewers.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And we had one. We had one person that popped in, and now they're gone.
I thought it was very sweet though, because we had in our last live, we had the viewer with the Japanese characters.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of the kids from school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she told me afterwards. Yeah. She was like, "Oh, how nice," and I thought, "Oh, that's sweet."
Hello, Dave. Yeah, it's
hi, Dave.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's awesome here. It rained part of the day. I wanted to do laundry, so that's the British. That's being British problems, I guess.
Well, it's pretty cold here. I mean, this morning, my colleague who I go to work with, she had to de-ice the car.
Oh wow! Well, it's not too bad here. It says it's 16 degrees Celsius here. Real feel 13, so it's still t-shirt weather for me.
It's like 4 degrees here, I think. So
yeah, that's where I put on a long sleeve shirt,
but not the thermal undies.
No. Those are reserved for Thursday nights. 12 degrees, Southern Ontario. Yeah. So that's just, it's similar to here, I guess. It says real feel. So 13. So I guess but then that might be real feel about 10 or 9.
Maybe that's 12 degrees Fahrenheit.
No, Celsius.
Dear. I was reading actually before I was rudely interrupted and forced onto a live. It was it's quite an interesting book. The story I'm reading, it's a book of short stories. The story I'm reading is a Sherlock Holmes, and it's one of the last ones. You've probably read them all. I haven't read this one. The Adventure of the Lion's Mane.
I must have. I don't recognize it off.
It's about a mysterious death on a beach, and then the death of a dog as well, sadly, which I wasn't too happy to read about. But the collection's quite interesting. It's called Guilty Creatures, a Menagerie of Mysteries. And it's all mystery short stories that are related to animals.
Oh, okay.
So you've got like The Case of the Janissary by Arthur Morrison, The Sapient Monkey by Headon Hill, The Green Parakeet by F. Tennyson Jesse, The Oracle of the Dog by G.K. Chesterton, The Man Who Hated Earthworms by Edgar Wallace, The Courtyard of the Fly by Vincent Cornier, The Yellow Slugs by H.C. Bailey, Pit of Screams by Garnet Radcliffe. A lot of these I haven't heard of, the authors.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. There's a list of forgotten authors right there.
Hanging by a Hair by Clifford Whitting, The Man Who Shot Birds by Mary Fitt, Death in a Cage by Josephine Bell, The Man Who Loved Animals by Penelope Wallace, and The Hornet's Nest by Christiana Brand. So be interesting to see what they end up being like. I mean, it starts off strongly, of course, having a than Arthur Conan Doyle. But
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't recognize that one, but if it must have been in the thing. There's some that I've only read once.
well, it was written in the 20s, and Watson's not in it. Sherlock Holmes narrates it himself.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's a couple of those,
Yeah,
and they're not that great. Those I didn't think when I read those, because
yeah.
when I came to England here, and to Bedford, and I didn't have any money. I started work, and I was waiting for my paycheck, and I wanted something to read because I'd come from Milton Keynes where there was a good library, and I go to the library here, and there was nothing. There was literally nothing for me on the shelves that I wanted to read. So, and they charge, for interlibrary loans, and I didn't realize that until I went up there. But then the woman, I think she took pity on me, and she ordered me from their reserve stock the complete, like 2 volumes, complete Sherlock Holmes. So I read through them, and that was I finished reading them all, and I remember reading the last ones and thinking, they're a little weak, those. And since then, I've never reread them. The
Well,
last,
yeah. What was I going to say? There was something I was going to say. I've forgotten. But anyway, I see you've got a new video out. Detestable Authors Phase 2. I haven't watched it yet, so anything you can tell us from a spoiler-free point of view?
yeah. Well, it's now up. I've got the Jane Austen books, and there is a on my community tab. There is a
Yeah,
poll.
I just voted.
Yeah. So it's like, so I might need to make another another poll depending on the outcome of that,
I said you should read them in strict order from teenage years to, but it seems most of the votes have been for
I haven't looked at it yet.
order of publication. Oh, okay, right. There's about 13 votes on there so far. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. I hadn't had a chance to look at it.
Well, it's Jane Austen, man. I mean, you know you're going to get viewers and interactions if you do Jane Austen. So,
But then I realized, like, because I'm reading with Summer, her Wuthering Heights, and that'll be first before these, I think. And so I'm going to have to start another series of the Brontes, I suppose, because I'm like, despite what people say, I'm going to lump them all together, and when I reread them, but I will be dealing with them separately. But
well, I mean, I'm in that group too, actually, but I haven't committed or said if I'm reading Wuthering Heights. I can't decide if I want to read that or read Jane Eyre, and it's difficult coming up with a Victober TBR because it's like a normal month for me. So
yeah, well, that's the thing, because I'll be reading that. I'll be reading Middlemarch with Greg at another Bibliophile Reads. We'll be doing that, but that's going to be a slow read through the month. I'm not going to rush through that. I'll go at the pace. Like, there is no pace, but he sort of thinks he might even take until into November. But I'll see if I can. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll see if I. And I realized when I've been excavating, I've got the Penguin here somewhere, but I also found I have the Oxford World Classics as well.
of
Edition of it of Middlemarch.
Middlemarch, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm waiting for I found a really cheap copy of Wuthering Heights because I didn't have that, and that's Oxford World Classics. Oh, we got another join the group for. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because it's a reread for me, but I have it again. I remember liking it when I first read it, but I don't remember it much.
Is anything not a reread for you, Sean?
Well, most things. Well, there are some because have you seen Aaron's tag of the 20 thing? And I that's really cool. I want to do that one. I'll do it for Tuesday. And like when I started looking at it, like I'm gonna have to make my own parameters, but it's like there's so many countries in Europe that are part, that have, are part of the canon that I've never read or hardly read anything at all. Like Spanish stuff. Like I've only read maybe one or two. Like I've read Don Quixote and maybe one or two others, and that's it. Italian, not a huge amount. The Russians, I guess, is that part of the Western canon? Yeah, I suppose so, or I'm not sure.
I think it would be more part of the Western canon bizarrely then than it might even be now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You see, most of it, my reading would have been French, some German, but a lot of English, and I guess he was counting America as part of the Western canon. So yeah, if I do that, then there's quite a bit of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to give me 1 minute. I will come straight back.
Okay. Kelly. Yeah, my thing has been flooded by everybody's been putting up things for her. That was where I first saw it. I saw her at the Oxford Literary Festival. It was either, I can't remember now whether it was prior to the Wolf Hall coming out, or is that the first one, or it was at the time of that. And I got a free ticket because nobody was going to see her, and they were giving out some free tickets. And and I didn't care for her as a speaker, and a lot of people were not happy. So, but I've never read it. In other words, my thought for Victober was Frankenstein, but I guess it isn't. No, that's the thing. Well, even Jane Austen isn't Victorian, but she's usually classed as Victorian. So yeah, but I think that's all lumped in Georgian Victorian, unless you go too far back into half of Tolstoy is in French. It feels like it, so I would say it's part of the Western canon. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's just Russian. For some reason, Russian was not something that I concentrate on reading. I read a few, but I haven't read Anna Karenina. I haven't read War and Peace. There's a lot that I haven't read, and I do want to read those. And this year was supposed to be for reading big books again. Oh, like a bad penny, he's back.
Sorry about that. I had to deal with something. I had a phone call. So, what were we saying? Western canon. Half of Tolstoy's that's why I was going to say I would put Tolstoy in the in that era in the Western canon more so than today. But yeah, I just saw Kelly pop up and I had to run. So
no, as you mentioned, Hilary Mantel, and then she was going to do Frankenstein, but it isn't Victorian. But the thing is, like, neither is Jane Austen, but it's usually lumped in as Victorian.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? Frankenstein, yeah, it isn't, is it? I mean, when does it start? 1837, Victoria's reign, or
somewhere like that, yeah. Hi, Spectre.
Because I guess I was thinking that although 1818 is not, 1818 is not.
It's all Georgian, but I think
if maybe the second version was, but I think I'm just checking her reign now. 1837.
Yeah. So, but I think most people class late Georgian is pretty well Victorian anyway. So, like from 1810 upwards, anyway.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they might do, but they would be wrong because I think it's quite different.
Well, it is, but the thing is, it's like in popular culture, people think of Jane Austen as Victorian. You know,
she's Regency.
or well, Georgian as well,
Yeah,
late Georgian.
or Regency. But yeah, no, it's interesting. But I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to read. Wuthering Heights is a possibility. I'm definitely going to join in, but this actually is a reread. A reread for me, and a first for you is the Let the Right One In. That would be good. And then I do have a few other things going on. I'm gonna because Very Literary Carrie and we're really enjoying Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. We decided we're gonna jump straight into the Illustrated Man story. So and
It's different. So
yeah, but you know, what put us onto it is because in Something Wicked This Way Comes, the kind of main baddie so far is an illustrated man. So it kind of made me wonder if there's any connection at all. Doesn't look like there is, perhaps, but we still thought we'll give it a go. So
Fahrenheit 451 is really good too.
But I just you don't do you have the Everyman Bradbury?
I do, yeah, I do.
So you can not now, obviously, but is it somewhere like where you can actually look at it at some point, or?
Not at the moment. It was, and I forgot to get it down.
But like in a couple of days or something.
No, maybe a week or so.
Oh no, forget it then. I can't wait that long. But I wanted to know if it was in there because I can't find anywhere that tells me.
No, it's not in there because it's short stories. It's all short stories except a few.
Well, because it confused me because the Illustrated Man. Hi, Aaron. The Illustrated Man is it's a book, but it's 18 short stories.
Yeah, it's a fix up, but I don't think it's in there. That's the thing. I don't think it's the same as I don't think the story, or there might be saying that because I'm quite sure the Martian Chronicles isn't in there either, and that's a fix-up novel as well.
The Martians are in there. The Martian stories are in there. Yeah, because that's what it says. It says the Martian stories. It says something else, and something like his Irish stories and his other Mexican stories as well, or whatever.
They might be in there then. They might be in there.
That's the thing. I don't know whether they get. Well, I don't want to double up on it. Yeah, I don't want to order it and then it not be in there, and then that's the thing. Well, I want to go back to Aaron's comment there. I'm assuming you're sit still because it's like stand fast, but I don't understand why I'm Mr. Whippy.
It's actually sit slow, or no, sit slow.
But why am I Mr. Whippy, Aaron?
Well, I guess from the I like the thumbnail. I guess I'm not sure.
Oh, could be. Yeah, maybe.
So you got Landmark Thucydides and Dune, Messiah. Oh, is there a new hardcover? Because I'm wondering if they're starting to put out the hardcovers. Whoa.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, all of a sudden a whole bunch of comments all at once. Yeah, I've got to reread the Dune, the 6 ones again. It'll be about the 4th or 5th time. Yeah, Nicole, hello. How are you? I'm fine. He's not fine, but I'm fine.
Kelly's on board with that. Hi, Yuri.
Because you have a whipping broom?
Yeah, for the beating the women at Easter.
Oh, right. Okay. Hello, Yuri. Due to certain Czech Easter traditions.
Yeah, Kelly got there. I'm obviously not on the ball today.
New hardcover. Okay, because I've got the Golands. Dune one, and then somebody gave me the one that has the limited edition or whatever that has the staining page edges, the purple stained edges, but it's scuffed up a little bit, but it was free, so I took it.
So I was wondering, I don't know if you saw. Did you see Mr. Vaughan's video on problematic authors? Yesterday.
Yeah, but I must not have saw it all. I've forgotten about it because I think I got distracted in the middle of it or something. I haven't watched it all because I don't remember what he was saying too much. I remember him saying that there are problems, but yeah, I'm
He's
not sure.
talking, of course, mostly about the weird little guy. What's his name? Lovecraft.
Craft, yeah.
Asimov as a bottom pincher, and Orson Scott Card, is it? The Ender's Game guy. He was talking about those three, and I mean, it was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah, as you know, distasteful people go, I think Asimov is sort of not in the running for a lot of them. You know, in many ways, like, you know, like I don't know if you can compare atrocities. Can you compare bottom pinching to racism, like hardcore racism?
Well, I mean, I'm you know, not being fair by maybe making light of it, but you know, Michael didn't say bottom pinching. He said, you know, groping and
Well, he did grope. Yeah, he did grope. But yeah, I don't know. It's like,
I'm not trying to get you cancelled, Sean. Don't say he did grope, but
well, I mean, but it's
but
the sense of, oh, okay, sorry. Well, he groped everything, I think.
okay.
But the thing is, what I'm saying is, can you rank these things? Can you rank these people of, you know, least detestable to most detestable? I don't know, because of what they did.
I mean, it depends. Like, holding a racist view, however detestable that is, if he doesn't physically assault someone, that probably is better than actually physically touching somebody who doesn't want to be touched, isn't it?
Yeah, but it see, that depends on the level of racism, I guess, because that's the one thing. The John W. Campbell is considered racist, and he was racist, but it's again a racism, like I say, when you say somebody is X, there is a whole, you know, width and breadth of those things, either in good things as well as bad things. Now, can you lump everybody who's within that width and breadth together? I don't know.
I think there are different levels of detestability for sure. I mean, some things are worse than others, but I do feel that being, like, how to say, holding racist opinions, however detestable to me, just holding them, occasionally maybe saying something like in a general way, would be, to my mind, perhaps better than physically assaulting somebody.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, in that way, that's what I'm saying. You're comparing, but that's what I'm saying. A hardcore sort of racist to, like, there were some people that there was a few actors that I know that would never work on a set. They'd storm off if there was a black person on the set.
Mm.
You know, and they just spouted this all the time, and they would abuse physically as well as verbally abuse anybody who's black, people
Like well-known actors, or
well, at the time he was fairly well known. He's a good actor. I like his acting, but
silent film, or
he did silent film, but then mostly in sound. But the thing is,
yeah, he is
like,
dead, Sean, so you probably can say who it is. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember his name. My brain is gone.
Very well known.
Well, he was at the time. He was in My Man Godfrey. He was the father, and he usually played those roles. And I can't think of his name. When it comes to problematic groping, seems low down the
My
list.
Man Godfrey. You've got William Powell, Eugene Pallett.
Eugene Pallett. Eugene Pallett.
So Eugene Pallett was very unpalatable.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but should we be ranking the detestability, you know, or, you know, goodness? Like, can you rank those things? And that's always an issue. I am willing to admit to some racism, but I have to figure out, for example, if I pick up the telephone and hear an East Indian accent, I assume they're trying to scam me and just hang up the phone. But is that racism? That's the thing. Is that racism if a lot of scammers are from a certain area? Is that racism? There could be racism somewhere in the background, but you doing that, is that racism? That's a question. I don't know.
You worry about it, Kelly, because of course the people are of a different color. But if, for example, you said, if we knew that people who came from, I don't know, Liverpool in England were adept at scammers, and you then were wary of everybody with a Liverpudlian accent. I think I don't know if that is racism.
Yeah,
bad experience.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of these things that you can't really quantify, I think, and as I say, to rank these people into levels, it's a mugs game in many ways,
But it got me thinking. I think that's true, Spect. But it got me thinking that we were watching that Jonathan Pie thing. It was before he put the video up, but he was talking about Laura Ingalls Wilder, and he was talking about how he would be surprised that anyone who wrote a book in those days wouldn't be considered racist today. And I started thinking about the term problematic, and what's problematic? It's problematic for the readers, or the authors are problematic.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I just want to address Spectre here. It's somebody calling you a racist. Yeah, I agree with that. But for instance, if you were refused a job because of a race, or a person's refused a job because of race, and they come out and say that, or they allow somebody to, a woman, and they grope, or a guy that'll be groped and gets the job. And then again, it's you're juggling these two different things. And it's well, in this case, that one's worse, but in this case, this one's worse. It's really difficult. But yeah, what is problematic? It's problematic for the person who's reading it. So that's going to be an individual thing, and to a lot of things, because there could be somebody who is a proponent of drinking heavily throughout the book, say, for instance, and somebody's family member was an alcoholic and drank themselves to death. That's going to be problematic for that person to read, for sure.
Trigger warnings and whatever, isn't it? Triggers or whatever they talk about. But I mean, obviously for us it's different, isn't it? I mean, we are not going to get the same feeling if we read Mark Twain as perhaps an African American will get, right? Because I mean, it's just the casual. I don't know if Twain is being racist or just, again, spouting common language for his time, whether he's actually actively disliked black people or he just used those phrases. But, we find it, I cringe when I read it and think, oh, it would be nice if it wasn't there. But we're not going to have any personal, bad feeling from it, are we?
Yeah, well, the other thing is, too, that when this is being said again, like the Jonathan Pie said, it's you'd be surprised that they weren't. But people, it's got to a point that if you got a racist character that you're writing in a book, and you don't have them spouting racist words, that's bad. Because what you need to do is show. But then that's the thing. If it's like the Charlie Chan books, there's racism there, but he snaps back at them, and others of his friends talk back against those people. So, but if you didn't have that, that would be false. It's not real.
Well, the nice thing is, actually, the one I just read is Charlie Chan himself talks back at one person who keeps just referring to him as a Chinaman. He says something like, well, perhaps this Chinaman, and I like that. I honestly, I cannot recommend to all of you enough giving Charlie Chan a go, because it will, considering it's written in the 20s, it would surprise you. It will surprise you how sympathetic the author Earl de Biggers is, how sympathetic he makes a lot of his characters, and how much he stands up against these kind of things. And he points out the petty racism of other characters, doesn't he? I mean, it's they should be held up as a model of the. Not everybody was a horrible person in the 1920s. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It might be atypical, but it actually might be like this thing. Like everybody's got this view that everybody in the past was racist. Were they? There's so many people that stood up against racism, you know, but they're not remembered most of the time. It's the ones that are, you know, that were proponents of it.
Speaking of perhaps problematic authors or problematic books, do you think there are books that are problematic that are not considered problematic by people?
Yeah, I think so, because now, but then we'll get into sort of political things, because
I was going down something else, but go on.
Well, there's a lot, yeah, and well, there's others, but for instance, there are books that basically say that you know, if the person works hard and they will succeed whatever their dreams and they want this. That to me is very problematic, because that doesn't happen in real life unless you are privileged to begin with. And there were so many books that are written like that make people think that you can do this, and people are, you know, come up to reality, and you can't do this. It's the same thing as like the fashion things, you know, like this is how you're supposed to look, and not many people actually look like that. So it's the same type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Michael was making the points that I've heard Greg from another bibliophile make, you know, like, you know, we can't judge people writing in the 19th century by the standards of the 21st century, just like, you know, our writers are going to be judged by people 200 years from now. And it could be a case that, you know, our authors will be vilified for eating meat, you know,
They will.
in a society that doesn't eat it. Yeah. But I was thinking actually more, and this is perhaps controversial, and I'm glad I'm talking about it on your channel. I was thinking, like, some books have obvious problems, and yet because of the nature of those books, we just gloss over them because we worry about offending too many people, or too many people are, you know, adherents to what's said in those books, that it's almost, well, it is sacrilegious to highlight them as problematic. But I think I'm sure you would agree, Shawn, that the Bible is problematic, is it not? In many cases?
Yeah, in many ways.
And yet you would be probably, you know, you'd be in trouble if you got on there talking about how problematic the Bible was.
Well, people do. Yeah, it's like the thing is, like when I've talked to people and say that there's incest in the Bible, and they are offended by this, and I'm going, well, what is Genesis? What's happened there? Where did these other people come from? You know, if there was only these. So it's like, then they've got to make up stuff to get around that issue, you know?
I think it's fascinating. I was thinking about it all day. I was thinking about, like, you know, the different things in the Bible that we would consider to be problematic. I mean, obviously there's slavery in the Bible. I don't know the Bible well enough, unfortunately, yet. You know, this is my plan for next year, but you know, I don't know whether there's any kind of positive spin on slavery in the Bible. I mean, we know obviously the Israelites escaping slavery and this kind of stuff, but I was thinking also of horrible things like I can't remember who's the guy who pimps out his daughters to the crowd. Yeah, Lot. Yeah. I mean, that's a horrific thing. You know, it's interesting, very interesting. The interesting part here is that the calls we get at work to us. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was going to be biblical.
No, the other thing is too that something that is still acceptable in a lot of things, in jokes and stuff like that, and I'll do something that's personal to me and to you, maybe Mark too, is people overweight. Like, you know, right away people will say, "Oh, they're fat," and they'll use that emphatic way of saying it, and right away, because they're overweight, they're lower intelligence, and they're lazy. They sit all day on the couch and eat cakes, and that type of thing, and these stereotypes that are there, and it's throughout, and it's still in literature today. It's throughout. Like, you make fun, like if they want to say that the person is you know, that you, in every book you'll see, if they want to deride the character, it's usually through it can be many things, but it can be done through their weight, and it's a shortcut to say all these things, and that's
unless you're Nero Wolfe, right?
Yeah, but you see, again, those are exceptions to the rules. You know, like
Billy Bunter. But you know, it is a good point, and it does annoy me when some forms of you know, being derogatory to other people based on their appearance, right? The race thing is like sacrosanct. Yeah, you can't say anything about anybody's race, and rightly. But you're right. I mean, I suppose the argument is that to some degree, if you are overweight, it's some element of it is down to yourself, maybe. Whereas obviously you have no control over your skin color. But what I hate is, like, when, as you say, comedians, even today, that what's his name, Russell Howard. I hated him, yeah, because he used to go on and on about fat people almost every time, and I used to think it's just you know, it's just a horrible thing. You can say that this is bad, but this is okay. And then something I find particularly annoying as well is people with red hair, how much they get picked on in England. It's ridiculous. They are like the original English people, yeah. Like, you know, and they have no control over that. Of course, to me, it is the same thing, like a racism, to have a go at people just because they've got, you know, red hair or ginger hair or whatever you call it, you know.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I was gonna mention was that, and that's perfectly acceptable. It seems to be in society in general, you know. But I like this comment by Aaron here, by LP Hartley in the Go Between. The past is another country. They do things differently there, and
that's my dad quoted that to me just last week. So
yeah, no, that just encapsulates everything, and it's perfect. Same accent, yeah.
Well, yeah, but you see, even that, there's debate. I mean, whether you should use that expression as well. You know, I think they do.
Yeah, well, even black people of color, Asian descent people, they will use derogatory terms that other races have used towards them. It's the same as the LGBTQXY, whatever. I don't know the whole thing it is, but you know, it's like at some point they took back, they say those words and use them. But
so maybe it's time for the overweight to do the same, Sean.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, but can you actually see it generally accepted, that kind of thing, for say black people or Hispanic people to you know, use it in everyday language and it to become normal?
But you know,
I see that happening.
The funny thing though is that this is lost on a lot of countries, you know, people when they don't have English and things as their first language. Like, I've heard children here using the N-word without any malice, because they just have the only way they've heard it is through rap music, right?
Yeah.
This is the Czech Republic. They've had nothing to do with slavery. They've never had any oppression of black people, anything like this. And yet these children are bombarded by that word and they think it's cool. And they start actually referring to black people using this word because they hear black people referring to black people like it. And I have to say to them, no, you can't do this. You can't go to London and audibly say somebody is an N-word, even though the concept for them doesn't exist. We all get around like it should be common knowledge for everybody, but it probably isn't.
Well, and the other thing too is oh shoot, where was I going with this? There's other words that sound similar to that word that have nothing whatsoever to do with it. It's like a word saying that you're parsimonious, that you're really careful with money, and it's called niggardly. It has nothing whatsoever to do with race, but people don't know the word, so they hear it and they freak out. Maybe rightly so, I don't know. But the thing is, if words are there, and words, I think any word can be used in its right connotation and its right place at times, even derogatory terms like that. Like if you want to show a character that is racist and stuff like that, all you got to do is throw that one word in their mouth, and right away you have it's a shortcut. It's like calling somebody fat now. It's a shortcut to mean all this other stuff.
But it is problematic here as well, because the you have two countries in Africa, Niger and Nigeria.
Yeah.
And Czech uses the same names for them, but unfortunately, given the shape, the way the language is, the G is a hard G. And it sounds horrific to my ears, but it is a linguistic thing. It's just the way that is how the country is called in this language.
Yeah, the interesting, and Nicole, it just made me think of something else. Like she's saying, yes, fat people, and especially the inbuilt excuse that it is your fault, despite the myriad of illnesses that cause it. How happy people are when you lose weight, and shocked when it's due. Now, or the other thing,
she continues. She got cut off.
Yeah, when it's to cancer or
something else.
And the thing is, if I go out walking, like when I get to that, and go out and start doing my walking down the river, I'm going to get people that complete strangers, screaming obscenities at me because of my weight. And it's like, I'm out here actually trying to exercise, and you're making fun of that as well, on top of everything.
Because I that used to put me off when I used to try and go to the gym to lose weight and stuff, was because I'd be the only fat person in there. Everybody else already had these beautiful bodies, so it was like, you're going there to try and do something. To be fair, nobody ever said anything bad to me, but you'd be there trying to work out, and of course you're just surrounded by people who look great already. It was kind of disheartening.
Well, yeah, like Spectre saying, the terminology does change, and the word retard is not used. Like now, I think retard should be used for people like Donald Trump and stuff like that. They don't really have any psychological problems. They're just the old definition of retard.
See, I never knew that, Spectre. I didn't know it was derogatory. You see, this is it. I didn't know it was a derogatory term for people with Down syndrome. To me, it was just somebody, as a kid when I was growing up, was just somebody slow, somebody late in their development. Which I suppose
retardation.
Sorry?
The full word is retardation.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, in French, retard is just to be late, yeah? So, it is a common word there. But like, it's, I didn't know. But it is interesting to see how, none of us, I hope, consider ourselves bad people. Like, I don't consider myself a bad person. But I'm pretty sure if you went back to me when I was 12 and I'm running around calling somebody a spastic or a retard or something like this, because everybody did it back then, I'd have to cancel myself, wouldn't I, in this culture?
Yeah.
You know, we get on at people who said something 20 years ago, and you know, we're angry at them today for saying it, or people who said something 100 years ago or 200 years ago, and we're saying they're problematic today. I mean, when you think about it like that, the whole thing is just ludicrous, because we've all done things. We've all followed the fads of our times. We've all done things as children because we didn't know better, or because just never thought about it. A word was a word was a word.
It was an accepted word by clinicians as well, as far as I know, and it was in textbooks. But that's the thing. Technical words can be started, but then misused by people. You know, they start using it in different connotations, and then that's where it got to being an offensive connotation. And when I said about Donald Trump, I meant it as an offensive connotation, but not in the sense that was. Since we're at the N word, we in Australia have a desert with chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, Austria, sorry. Where is it? It's disappeared now.
I can still see it. So there was a dessert named after the N word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is that racist in and of itself? Like a thing changed in the last 15, 20 years. Spectre, I have had trouble with that myself. The R word.
Retard.
I was taught the word meant slowed growth, so learning the difference has been difficult. Yeah, it's the same thing as you can't, because the people who used some of these things, and the same thing as used derogatory terms for people of color at the time, they weren't considered. Like, if those people, like, they may have used, I think a lot of people use those terms but didn't mean it in an offensive way, and then they may not have ever actually been racist. Some, like, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure people had used these terms and never meant them in a racist way. It was just, that was the speech, that was what you learned. And we do it today. We do it today. And then, like Spectre said, in 15, 20 years, you know, it'll change. All of a sudden, that'll become, you know, like the accepted thing for me to grow up is to call someone black. And I think that's turning now as being an offensive term.
I can't keep up with it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't know. And especially being out of the loop as well. It's like I saw this expression, BAME. Is it BAME? BAME? I had no idea what it meant. You know, it popped up within the 10 years that I've been here. I didn't know what it was. I kept seeing this thing like BAME people or whatever. And I had no idea. It means something like, I don't know what it means. If anyone knows, let me know. I can't remember what it means. But
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
It's something British, Black, Asian, Middle East. But then I think what's happened is that term as well has been replaced, or in like a short time. It's very hard. It's very hard to know.
Well, the thing is, the internet is partially that. The internet and this age has the memory capacity of probably a day or two. You know. So things change so quickly, and it's like fashion.
I mean, what I find very strange as well, coming back to the Czech Republic and the Czech language, is, you know, I don't know about you, but like, you know, if I do something stupid, I will say to myself, "Oh, Mark, you're such an idiot." Yeah. Why have you done that? And here, it's actually quite a bad word. You know, I shouldn't say it in a lesson, right? We don't think of idiot as being particularly bad now, but then I suppose when you think of the connotations, perhaps, and the Czechs have those two words. They have like idiot, and then they have the word debil, which is, I guess, from debilitated, probably. You know, it's very interesting, and it's like a terrible thing to call somebody here. But as I said, if you call, I mean, I know so many English people who call themselves idiots all the time. So, I'm such an idiot. Why did I do that? You know.
Yeah,
you're right. You look like you've kind of frozen in time.
Yeah, no, I'm just listening to. I was just reading the comments here.
So that's your multitasking face, listening and reading at the same time.
But the other thing is too, it's like, you know, you will say, "Oh, you're a dummy." You know, that can be considered a derogatory term, but most people will say it, don't mean it in that way, you know. What's this here? Not just because of myriads of experience with being stared at, screamed at, or commented to, but also because you just see it happen or hear the stories. It even goes the other way with word.
No, the word. She's got it. After Spectre, she's carrying on.
Yeah, I was told by two people, it is awesome you're here. People of your weight usually won't be seen in the gym. Yeah, it does happen, but I think, well, at least my experience here, I've never had that happen anywhere else in the world that I've been, except English people that will, I mean, literally, like just complete strangers. Or I've had beer cans thrown at me or things from cars with a scream out of saying "fatso" or something like that. And it's just like, do you really need to do that? You have an overpowering thing to insult a stranger? And it's like, well, if I made your day, then thank me for it.
But they wouldn't do it for anything else.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And that's why I'm saying it's acceptable. Yeah, in the 80s and 90s.
Confusing about it, though, as well, is that it's, how to say it, it's like they will 100% have, given the way obesity is in the UK at the moment, will have fat close relatives. You know, I guarantee their mum is probably a size 26 or something, you know. That's the sad fact these days in the UK. It's just, you know, completely out of control. But I also think perhaps it's the areas you go to, Shawn, because I never experienced that.
Well, everywhere I've gone in the UK, that's happened. Here's black and minority ethnicities. That's what BAME stands. I've never heard that before.
Well, you haven't been out for a while. I think it only came up in the last 2 years, and then it went out of fashion again. So,
calling someone a strumpet or a tart is not nearly as offensive as it was in Victorian times due to look for things to be offended by. So they be changed. Yeah, there's something. Oh, yes. I remember when I first came to here, Bedford, and I was out with some people from work, some younger women, and they were buying. We went to a shop and she was buying stuff, and then they would constantly use the term that they were sluttish
with each other.
No, but because they bought cheap stuff, cheap clothing, not designer clothing. So not that it's scanty or anything like that are showing anything, but they meant it in that way. But I was like shocked, like I was, because to me, the word slut has many more connotations to me.
You got your hopes up there, right?
No, it was just, and I was sort of surprised, and they explained to me what they meant by it, and I'm going, really?
I never heard that, but again, these things can also be regional, right?
Yeah.
Misuses, it's different.
Yeah, like Aaron says, yeah, like, you know, these things and like things change, and it is racism is taught. It can be untaught. Yeah, that's the thing. But the whole thing is too, the whole race. There are no races. Humans, there are no races. There's the human race. They are not different races, and that's the thing of the actual meaning of the word. There are no races. The only time that there'd be races, I suppose, would be you got the human race, and if there were people living on Venus, they'd be Venetians. They'd be the Venetian race.
Venusian, I think,
or whatever, you know.
I think you just alienated all your viewers from Venice.
Venus, yeah. Martin Garcia, love that language shifts. That's why reading is, yeah, exactly, because you get to learn things that you know, like the You got to comb your hair sometime, Mark.
Well, I just love the way there's no gel. There's nothing. I just move and just do it, and it's like completely different whatever I do with it. So,
what was I saying? Yeah, well,
better?
that's the thing.
This is better, isn't it? I'll leave it up. I'll do like a mohawk.
Mohawk?
So go on. Yeah. Unless that's offensive. I'm not sure. Well, no, there aren't any Mohicans left, are there?
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, it's like when you got language of words and you got slang. Slang, I always find is interesting because you're reading a book from the 20s and you got these kind of slangs, and they're kind of cool to learn these things, or especially language from like the 18th century. The names for things. You were doing that, Mark, with reading stuff from Johnson's dictionary.
Yes,
and it's like bizarre things,
Yeah.
The elderly people I care would be use the N-word because that's just what they talked back then. But they love the Irish and that care for them. Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's like I think people jump too quickly they leap to conclusions without it depends on how the person's saying. Like if somebody's saying to me, "Oh, you've got a lot of fat on you," or they say, "Oh, you're fat." If they say it in that tone of voice, there's something different. And if they say words like that, any word I think would be like that. Victor Hugo has a whole section about slang, and yeah, he does. Yeah, there's the argot, the what's his name, the little boy that's running around during the uprising.
What are the odds that I actually have just ended up insulting a Mohican?
Well, like you can, it's everything. Like I'm insulting probably.
No, I mean literally. There's a comment there by DT.
No, Mark, no Mohicans left. Wasn't Val Kilmer. There are thousands of Mohicans living in the upper northeast coast, eastern Canada.
Well, DT, I apologize. I just assumed there weren't any because Fenimore Cooper said so.
But it's like just having Edgar here is probably offensive to someone. It's not a real skull. But
it was Daniel Day-Lewis, MP Hunt.
Yeah, that was a horrible movie. All it was running all the time.
No,
that's all he
did
was running. Or was it Tom? Oh God, no, please, not Tom Cruise. Last Samurai, Tom Cruise? You're joking.
You didn't see it?
That's serious?
Yeah, it's a film, Last Samurai, with Tom Cruise and Billy Connolly.
That's as bad. That's as bad as John Wayne as
No. It's not what you think. He isn't actually dressing up like a Japanese. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's an American who gets involved with the Saigo Takamori style rebellion against the Meiji Restoration, and everybody dies except him, of course, in a ludicrous cavalry charge at the end where everyone's mowed down by Gatling guns instead of him, and then the Meiji Emperor has an audience with him and then says something like you're the last samurai or something shit like that. Excuse my foul language, but yeah.
Yeah, Nicole, sorry for I've excavated a lot of skeletons and burials, so I've held a lot of skulls and bone parts, cleaned them and cataloged them. So I've done a lot of that, and it's always fun when you do a grave, especially if it's in clay, so you get still fleshy bits. That's always fun.
I'm just looking up because I'm really curious. So Mohicans are Eastern Algonquin Native American tribe.
Yeah,
Algonquin. It's confusing, isn't it? With because some Native American I don't know, would he say groups or tribes in this instance, where they have different names. It's the same, I think, in southwestern United States, isn't there?
Yeah, well, the thing is, the names that most people use in common usage are, European designations on them, which they never called themselves that, or they were miscalled because they are a completely different group.
That's true. I'm reading it. I'm reading it here. It says the tribe identified by the place where they lived, the Muhikanu, which was, I guess, it meant something like people of the continually flowing waters.
Okay, like, Kelly. Edgar's real.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, honestly, I had no idea. I feel like such a fool now. I shouldn't believe. I shouldn't believe everything I read.
So yeah, so Edgar's real. Well, he is real. It's not a fake. It's it's not CGI, so it is real.
Thanks, Spectre. You have a good weekend too.
Yeah, and he has. I found my trowel as well.
That's what did Edgar in, wasn't it?
I used to be able to shave with this. I used to sharpen it so much that I could shave with it.
Shave my head.
I've always found what was considered swearing in the past fascinating, especially the old street names. For example, the streets where the brothels were in Oxford was Crope. See you next Tuesday Street. Yeah, well, the thing is, yeah, the swearing in different languages, and like I'm sure Czech has a lot of stuff like that. That if you translate exactly what it says, it just is bizarre to sort of the English way, the description, and usually it has to do with animals. I find a lot of European stuff has to do with animals and their swear words. Well, you've invoked his name, so he might appear.
3 times in front of the mirror, Kelly. Oh, maybe Kelly's going to appear behind me in a second. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's off doing something, being busy.
So yeah, I suppose I could write you could write a story. He is found underneath a pile of books. But yeah, there's something else that's coming out tomorrow. So I've got my Jane Austen on a different topic, my Jane Austen thing. So go to my community tab and vote, and we'll see if I need to have another poll up. But also tomorrow will be my second childhood book quest that I've got up tomorrow, and it'll happen at the videos at 12, and then the poll will be 12:30 on Saturday.
That would be so. What, you're gonna give us a chance to choose?
Yeah, which
childhood book you read?
Yeah, the first one, and then basically it'll be the percentage wise. Like I'll go in that order because there's 5 books. I'm still waiting for one. The first one I ordered, I'm still waiting for it, but I got all the rest.
I'm sorry, I'm just still fascinated by this, by the Mohicans. And I'm just annoyed because I was thinking, I'd like to get a book on them because it'd be interesting. And the most recent book listed in the Wikipedia bibliography for the article, the most recent book is 1978.
No, you'll need to look at some university press ones.
These are university press ones. The Smithsonian Institute, University Press of Nebraska University Press. That's shocking.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe that. There'll be there will be newer ones. And I've uncovered stuff because Summer read a book that's I can't remember what it's called, something Spirit of the Wind or something like that.
Oh
It's
yeah, I told her about that. I said that's very similar to the one you read. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. Was it
Searchers.
Searchers? Yeah.
Yeah, but a Searchers is more talking about the uncle's story rather than Cynthia Parker. But in my excavations of books here, I've been finding stuff on Comanche because I've got books because I've always been fascinated by her story and the Comanches and sort of the Texas area. And because of that, and so I've sort of now putting them on. I don't have too many. I have like 3 or 4, and I'm just putting them on a pile. A good TV show to watch if you have Hulu is Reservation Dogs. It portrays native life in modern North America. Oh,
I've heard of that actually, DT, but unfortunately, I don't have Hulu. I don't know if we can actually get it in Europe. Unfortunately, I'll see if I can find it somewhere.
Nicole, tomorrow at 12:30 British summertime, the poll will be up.
That's 1:30 for you, Nicole, like me.
Mohawks on the Nile. What? Natives among the Canadian voyageurs in Egypt. Wow.
That sounds...
Is that real? Is that real?
Probably.
Not just by the sounds of it. I want to read that.
Who wouldn't?
So somebody's going to have to buy that for me for my next Sean Like It. And yes, I will.
By Carl Ben, yeah. 281 pages, 3.7 on Goodreads. Mohawks on the Nile explores the absorbing history of 60 Aboriginal men who left their occupations in the Ottawa River timber industry to participate in a military expedition on the Nile River in 1884 to 85. Chosen because of their outstanding skill as boatmen and river pilots, they formed part of the Canadian Voyager contingent, which transported British troops on a fleet of whaleboats through the Nile's treacherous cataracts, hard campaigning of the Sudan War. Their objective was to reach Khartoum, capital of the Egyptian province of Sudan. Their mission to save Major General Charles Gordon, besieged by Muslim forces, inspired to the call to liberate Sudan from foreign control by Muhammad Ahmad, better known to his followers as the Mahdi.
Email me the link to that or whatever, so I can. I need to look at that book. But that reminds me about this. There's a neat story here in Bedford. There's a pub that's a really old pub here. In the back there used to be a sort of tennis lawn at that time in the 1880s. And there was a guy who lived around the corner from that place, but he was in the Sudan wars. So when he came back, today you would say he had PTSD, if that's correct. If you got the correct initials, but anyway, and he came back and he like the story is that his girlfriend, or he thought was his girlfriend, like it sort of kept him alive, the thought of coming back to his girlfriend and marrying her. Yeah, I said email, not there, because I won't be able to do anything with that.
Oh, sorry, boss. Anyway, yeah.
Once this goes, it goes. That's why. But yeah, so then she was at playing tennis one afternoon, and he went there and had an argument with her, and she basically laughed at him. He went home and got a gun, went back, had a few whiskeys apparently in the pub, and then went out, shot her, and shot himself. And there's like all sorts. It's a really weird story that's here. Anyway, that just reminded me. Friend Rebach's book, The Comanche, is good. Yes, I think I have that one. Oh no, I was looking up because when I found these, I'm not. No, I've got one of tribes or groups in Texas, but I am familiar with the Fehrenbach's book. I have somebody else. I don't think it's his. It's a newer one. I just can't remember the name. Black Robe, excellent portrayal of Native American tribes in early American history. Yeah, I don't know that one. At least I don't think so. Doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, this guy also wrote a book, The Iroquois of the War of 1812.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I guess you expect to see them there more than in Egypt, in the Sudan. But
well, there is so much, like there's so much stuff. Like, well, you mentioned Smithsonian. There's a whole huge ethnographic series, the Smithsonian's of Native North Americans. It's a whole series. I don't know how many there are. There are over 100 probably volumes. They're really expensive. Most of them are out of print. They probably need to be updated, but they're really good. It's a newer one called something like the Empire. No. Well, if you give me a moment, if you don't mind me getting up, I know exactly where it is.
avert your eyes, everyone.
Oh!
All right, so we got rid of him.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I should be entertaining you in the meantime. Probably. I'm reading a book on what's it called again? You'll probably like it. Some of you at the beginning would have heard me talk about it, but it's a short stories, mystery stories collection. It's called Guilty Creatures: A Menagerie of Mysteries, and it's all based around detective stories that have animals at the heart of it. So quite good. All right, he's back. Sorry, like a ninja, Sean. You just 1 minute you were gone, and the next minute you just appeared again.
See, that takes the breath out of me. Before COVID, I didn't have that problem. This is the newest one I have, Comanche Empire by Pekka Hamalainen. I can't pronounce his name correctly.
Oh yeah, he's Finnish. Yeah. I've got this.
Yale University. He's done a lot. I think he's done a Lakota one too. That could be interesting.
Maybe it's the Lakota one I've got on ebook.
2008. And this one I have, an old one, The Indians of Texas by W.W. Newcomb Jr. It's an old one from the 70s. Actually, 60s. No, wait a minute. Yeah, 61. So, but I picked that up at a charity shop for, I think, like 50p or something like that. So I couldn't pass it up. I just haven't bothered reading it. And then I have one on Quanah Parker. I don't know how good it's going to be, but it's The Last Comanche Chief. Self-appointed, that is.
Oh, that's the son, isn't it, of the Searchers woman?
Yeah, Cynthia Parker. And I have another one about the Searchers. It's about the book The Searchers. I mean, yeah, in the film, but the first half of it is to do with the history behind it. Just published last week, Indigenous Continent: The Epic Conquest. Ooh, because
you need a wheelie chair, Sean, so you can move around without having to get up.
Yeah, right. In this place, I have not read this yet, but I bought it in 2020, I think, when I was still working, and I've looked through it and read it, and I really, really like it. So it's like, I would purchase anything, I think, by this writer. And the Epic contest for North America would be really good.
I haven't got any books. Oh yeah. Oh really? MP. Yeah. It's just a collection of, it's Arthur Conan Doyle and a few others, and a lot of others I haven't heard of, but it looks pretty good.
Freeman knows the Comanche Empire. Yeah, it looks amazing. And as I say, this one I picked up only because it was, I think, £1 or £2 or something like that. When I was looking for the others, it was only £1 or £2. So I thought I'd get it, but I don't think the guy is. Well, it says he's recognized as the preeminent authority on Quanah Parker. He is featured prominently in the segment on the Great Comanche Chief on the A&E television series, The Real West. Well, I don't know if that's hype. In some ways it could be. But yeah, but it's Wiley, so it may not be too bad. I'm just not holding.
I haven't got any Native American physical books, but I do have this one at least. Sean.
Oh, wow. This is one winner of the 2009 Bancroft Prize, co-winner of the 2009 Merle Curti Award. I've never heard of that. A winner of the 2008 Kate Brox Bates Award. Never heard of that. Winner of the 2008 Great Plains Distinguished Book Prize. I've heard of that. So it's like won 4 prizes. That's quite amazing. But yeah, it was funny because I never heard of that book that Summer read, and I found a cheap copy for £1.50. I think it was. It's probably falling apart, but I'm curious about it.
You read this one? It made me think of it when we were talking about
Khartoum. No, I've read other ones. I'm not familiar with that one.
But it's fairly new. I mean, I would say in the last 10 years, maybe 15 years max.
But I definitely want that other one. So see, but that's not fair to have for my will Sean like it? It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
But Sean, you're not playing the game properly. What you should have done, be like, I hate that kind of stuff. I don't want to read that. And then people be like, ha ha ha, will Sean like it? And then they'll buy it for you.
You gave me the German link to this? Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. Well, my Amazon's German.
I know. I'm just.
I didn't think about it. Sorry.
No, yeah. So, but I can get the.
English, though, isn't it?
Oh, actually, no. It doesn't bring it up. It doesn't bring it up from that link.
What comes up?
It just the homepage of Amazon.
Interesting.
It doesn't want me to go to Germany. But there's enough here in the link, Mohawks on the Nile. I can just do a search from it. It's got the name with it. I can find it.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's in English anyway, Amazon Germany, if you want it to be. So.
Yeah, no, it's not bringing up from that link for some reason. It's just and that's what have happened before when people send me a link to the American Amazon.
But it's this one's paperback, large print, and quite expensive, €35.
Wow. See this I can't remember. Well, the hardcover was way too much when I bought this, so I bought this new. I can't remember how much I paid for it. I think it was like £10 or £12. I found the book. I was thinking Empire of the Summer Moon. Oh, I don't know that one. Let me make a note of that because I will not be able to access that anymore. Empire.
This is for you watching. I mean, I could Google it, but you guys will probably be faster. What's the book by David Gann, the guy who did the Lost City Z about Flower Moon, about the I can never say them properly. The oh gosh, it's terrible. Those the Native Americans. What's the name of the tribe? It's very difficult for me. Oh, my brain's not.
Wyandotte?
No, they have a very. It's a difficult name. But they basically became very rich because they had all these oil rights and things like that. And then there was a murder. It was a great book, but I read it about 3 years ago, maybe more. It's a true story. It's what is it called? Something. I'll look it up then if nobody's.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I do know this Empire of the Summer Moon. I recognize the cover. Yeah. And I think I have passed on that because of the author. He's award-winning journalist. Like, I think it would be a general one, but if you say it's really good, then I will look at it. Because
Killers of the Flower Moon. That's the book I'm thinking of about the Osage murders. And I hope I said Osage properly.
How do you spell it?
Osage. Osage.
Or yeah, it's like Osage or something like that. I think is the
Osage. Is it Osage?
That's something like that. I can't
remember. It was really fascinating because it was all like set with the early days of the FBI as well. You know, there was these Osage people who were living in Oklahoma in the early 20s. They found like big oil deposits on their land.
Oswego, Oswego.
Osage.
Oh, okay.
But like, it was really horrific, right? That they were getting, white American people to be like kind of their guardians, and were like, it was like stealing their money, and then people were getting murdered, and it ended up with loads of people getting murdered in this. It's going to be a movie. Freeman's looked up there. Killers of the Flower Moon is going to be a movie. Well, it's a brilliant book. I found it fascinating. Although you wouldn't know it from how I can't seem to remember anything about it, but it was really good.
Osage. Let's see how it says. Osage.
Because if I'm reading it as like as I approach Czech, I would say Osage. Yeah, because that's how they would say it. But
that's what I thought it was. But then again, it's like when I was a student, there was one of my professors talked about a site nearby where I grew up. Like, it was only a mile or so away, and like I could identify it when he pointed it on the map. But he called it something, and I go, "What the hell is he talking about?" And it's like, that's not the pronunciation of the place. But he didn't know that. The pronunciation was totally different. But that's what every archaeologist that has never been there would call it. So pronunciation is difficult at times. But no, thanks for that. Who was that mentioned the sorry, go back.
Aaron, maybe, or Freeman?
Oh, Aaron, yeah. Empire of the Summer Moon. Yeah, thanks, Aaron, because I've passed on that because the guy was a journalist. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but it's like I've already read a few general books about Quanah, and I sort of figure this is going to be a general book as well. But it says it's probably the definitive account. Probably, yeah. You know. So, but yeah, no, the sort of ethnographic histories of North American groups it's fascinating. There's one I want to get back again. It's by Bruce Trigger. It's the Children of the Atazniak. I can never pronounce it correctly. It's a great big honking thing, or well, it was originally 2 volumes. And it's like 1,000 pages. They were a Huron sort of Huron group.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, unfortunately. I need to educate myself more on this.
Well, by the sounds of it, this one here, that Freeman talked about here, the Indigenous Continent, the Epic Quest for North America, that by this guy here, whatever his name is, I can't pronounce it. I don't know what else he's written. Like, I know he's done the Lakota book. Oh, this is cool. The Lamar series in Western history. Recent titles. Oh, okay. So it's more than just native stuff. But you say you got the Lakota one by him?
I'm not sure. I've got one of them. I haven't got it with me. Like here. So. Yeah. But actually, it was Jack from the Rambling Raconteur. He gave me a list of books to read regarding Native American history. But, he's based down in Arizona. So I guess
I thought it was Arizona, yeah.
Knows a bit about it. So, but yeah. But I think you might enjoy that one, Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, it's not like, history, as it were, of like a people's, but of one specific real incident that happens. It's a shocking story, and the fact that I never heard of it, like
or nonfiction,
complete nonfiction. It's true story.
It's nonfiction. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's like there's a few things.
What did I say? Fiction. I'm having problems with fiction and nonfiction at the moment.
No, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
It's a true story, whichever one that is.
Yeah, that's nonfiction. Yeah,
nonfiction. Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting because there are things, and it's always comes back to films, like through the Searchers that I saw when I was probably 10 or 12 years old. First of all, I've had an interest in that area in Texas as well because of that. And then also too, Shane is another one. The it's that valley that there was the range wars that were there, and that's fascinating to me as well. And it's because of that film. I didn't think too much of the book when I finally got around to reading Shane, but the movie's fabulous.
Well, I mean, this one's going to be a film. It had. I mean, I read the book. The film hasn't come out yet. The Killers of the Flower Moon. That's what it was linking to. So I don't know. But I came to that because I read. I don't know if you read it, The Lost City Z, about Percy Fawcett.
I know of it, but I've not read it.
So this guy, David Gran, I can never remember. He read this book about Percy Fawcett going missing in the Amazon, and I read that and I enjoyed it. It was good fun. Again, it's nonfiction, true story, and then I don't know. Maybe I was just looking at other works by him or whatever, and this one popped up, and I thought, I don't know. It sounds intriguing, the fact that there could be so many murders and like I've never heard of it kind of surprised me, and like it gets really out of hand. I mean, it's like one of the first big cases for the FBI. Yeah, it was very interesting.
What's it happening? Like when what
1920s?
20. Oh, okay.
Like literally, I think it was 1920. It might even be. Yeah, but it's
that's the interesting thing. There's so many little points like that, things that happen, a murder or something that happened that sparks off something that was massive at the time, and it could be have long-term effects for law, for politics, for a country, but people don't know. It's for the event actually is forgotten, but its legacy is so big, and those are things that are amazing. It's like the Quanah Parker and Cynthia Parker. because if she wasn't taken by the Comanche, she wouldn't have obviously birthed Quanah Parker, who then was very astute politically, and he tried to help not just the Comanche, but he was helping himself as well. But he made a lot of changes, or made the government do a lot of changes for natives. Not always the best, but like if he wasn't there, would there have been anybody else that would have stood up and did it? Who knows? But like this event, in 1830 or whatever, that she was taken at 9 years old from her family's compound in Texas.
I was just reading like who's in the film, this Flower Moon one, because obviously it's Scorsese. And I was thinking, there don't look to be many Native American actors in it, because you've got Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Brendan Fraser, Jesse Plemons, and there's a girl there called Lily Gladstone. And I looked her up, and it says, what is it? She says she is of black feet, or do you say Blackfoot if you're speaking in a singular? Black. She's of black feet.
Blackfoot. I always thought it was Blackfoot.
She is of black feet and Nimipu heritage. Yeah, her name's Lily Gladstone. And then it says after that, she's a distant relative of British Prime Minister William Gladstone. Interesting combination.
But yeah, it's like the actors. Well, the last male actor, her I've never heard of, and the last male one I never heard of. But everybody else, I just sort of rolled my eyes at. But
I didn't see you. I didn't see you, but I knew you were rolling your eyes the moment I mentioned those names. So.
But it's not a surprise being a Martin Scorsese film. It's not a surprise.
Anyway, I think it's probably bedtime. Chat slow down a bit. 15 people here, and either we've sent them all to sleep, or they're just enraptured by our fascinating conversation.
Yeah, and I want to say, if anybody will Sean like it, I may not like that book, but
you better specify to be sure that you don't get it what that book is you dislike.
I can't remember now. What's the comment?
Summer Moon, wasn't it? By SC. Was that the one?
No, Mohawks on the Nile, natives among the Canadian voyageurs in Egypt, 1884 to 1885. Yeah, I may not like that, so it could be a good book for will Sean like it. So.
I don't think you will, Sean. I will, though.
So was happy to listen, and which depths will be deep.
Well, you can be sure that we'll head right down the bottom there, Nicole. Don't worry. As low as we could possibly go. So. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it. So
an hour and a half done. We'll be back tomorrow, though, ladies and gents, and we do have a special guest. It will be on Sean's channel once again, but I'm sure you can make the journey over here and support him. So
yeah, and it may not be the guest may not be for the full length of time we're there, but we'll see how it goes. And again, it's a mystery guest. So I guess nobody has really said, or one person said, I guess from the thumbnail, who was me and who was Mark, I guess in the thumbnail.
The thumbnail for this chat. Well, I think it's so obvious that no one needs to say. Oh dear.
I just thought when that came up, that's perfect. Despairing about the booktube options.
yeah. There's not much on a Friday night. Sorry, Nicole, you're just stuck with us too.
Yeah. No, these are fun, and like I say, I've learned a couple things that are really great. Like That other Quanah Parker book, I will now look at it because I had passed it aside. So, Aaron, thank you. And Freeman, I think it was, that mentioned the new whatever his name is book. Sorry, there's Hamalainen. There's too many little doohickeys above the A's, so I don't know how that's pronounced.
That's the Finnish for you.
Pekka, I guess, is the first name, is it?
Probably, yeah. And I guess Kelly was it who talked about the Mohawks in the Nile, on the Nile?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, because that was completely like that's the problem. Like I used to get the Times Literary Supplement, so occasionally I would see stuff like that were in there, and I think that's where I saw this. I think I saw this. I saw it reviewed somewhere. And I think that's why I went out and bought it. So, and it's a new book. Well, new for me. So that just goes against my bad reputation of, not reading new stuff. Well, I haven't read it yet. I've skimmed through it.
Is it worth subscribing to the Times Literary Supplement?
Yeah, but I enjoyed it because I enjoyed reading it. But I've been an on and off subscriber for about over a decade, but I started probably about 12 or 13 years ago, and I gave up on it because I couldn't keep up with reading it from cover to cover, and then I left it for about 6 months, and then they bombarded me with another introductory offer. So I said, I'll do it again. And then I decided, well, I don't need to read it from cover to cover. I'll just read a few bits that are of interest to me. And then I've loved it ever since. But it's just too expensive. It's gone up now. It's like £40 or something like that every quarter. 30
is
or
it
30
every week then, or
is it weekly or is it bi-weekly? Which one's bi-weekly? No, I think it's weekly. Because I used to get the London Review of Books as well.
Which one's better?
I think the Times Literary Supplement is better, but some people like the London Review of Books better. But I don't. I don't like the tone of it as much.
I'm just seeing how much it is to. I doubt I could afford to have it sent every time. Yeah, it's £2.40 a week. Which is 28, but then I suppose this is introductory offer. 28.75 per quarter at the moment.
Yeah, that's sort of what it used to be. I think when I was getting it was around that. It was 20-some pounds, but then it goes up. Like it's about 35 or 40 pounds, I think now.
If you get the print and digital, it's just £1 a week for the first quarter, and so £12 for the first quarter. And 30 quid per quarter after that, and you get both the print and digital editions, as well as complete unrestricted access to the archive.
Yeah, that was nice, and I could still sometimes get onto the archive. My password sometimes still works.
Do they deliver? Well, no, they won't. I mean, yeah, they probably don't deliver abroad.
No, they do, but it'll be pricey.
Yeah. Anyway, I can do this later. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you.
Thanks everybody, and keep those recommendations for this stuff coming if anybody has any more. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Ciao, everybody. Good night.